Well, I guess we're sticking with the lifted truck theme. The last truck I did a swap to was about this tall, so might as well swap another one. We got a small block Chevy in here. The owner reached out to me and asked me if I could swap it for him and his daughter that really enjoy spending their time in this thing together. They've had some issues with this here small block. The cam is no longer round. Well, I guess it's more round than it is to a point now, but we got cam issues, lifter failure, a little bit of everything. But we're pulling this Johnny out, little 350 small block Chevy. We're putting a very low mile 6-liter in here. We're not doing a cam to it. We're not doing nothing. It's for an 18-year-old that is just gonna get out and drive the thing. So we got to get this engine up out of here. We got to get we got to go get this engine out of here. Go get the 6-liter from the guy's shop. Bring the 6-liter back. Mock up the mounts. We're doing the same trans, the same everything else. He bought long tube headers. We're making this exhaust work. We're doing no cam, so we don't have to change a converter. We're doing no trans, so we don't have to change the drive shafts. And the transfer case, because this thing is lifted and it is custom built, I mean, it's got a solid axle front end, which I think was kind of factory-ish anyways, but I don't think that's a factory front diff. We got 14 bolt in the rear. This is technically a K5, but it's now got 3/4 ton running gear underneath it. It's got one of them their big axles in it. I don't know my front diffs. I'd assume it's probably a 10 bolt up here, possibly with an 8 lug, maybe a Dana 40. But it's probably got a 14 bolt in the rear, or maybe a Dana 70. I don't know my rear ends. I know my 14 bolt from my Silverado, but I don't know what would come in this. To me, that looks like a 14 bolt, probably a 10.5-inch ring gear 14 bolt. But yeah, here it is. It is very clean, very nice. It's what everybody dreams of, to take their kids out, their wife, their kids out, cruise, hit some gravel roads, hit some creeks, hit a little mud, do a little bit of everything. So yeah, let's get started. We're gonna pull this engine right out of here. We're using a lot of the same stuff that's here. We're gonna try to stay budget-ish friendly by putting this together. We're gonna hope everything clears. I'd assume the small block to LS ratio is about the same. I could measure, or I could just find out the hard way. So I think we're gonna take the find out the hard way route. And yeah, we got replace some hoses so we can keep the heaters working. And well, they really don't matter because I doubt they drive it much in the winter, but they might, who knows. I don't think they have a top for it, but oh well. Let's get this thing pulled out. I'm gonna start a time lapse. I'm gonna pull this out, put a new one in, and it'll be running in a couple days, hopefully. Probably not, but hopefully. Just like that, the old small block is gone, and the new and improved small block 6-liter LS is here. I gotta get manifolds off. We got a broken bolt I gotta weld out. All this wiring harness can go. Oil cooler lines can go. Engine mounts can go. I gotta get the flywheel off. Check the fitment back there. See if the fitment will line up with these holes that we have here. If not, we gotta waller them out, but not a big deal. We gotta get this old harness out, AC compressor off, battery cables, basically a whole 9 yards gotta come off. We got a PSI harness, MSD spark plug wires, cold air intake. These are the engine mounts with the swap mounts right there. And we're this close to having this engine ready to put in there. It's probably going to take me an hour or so to get this off cleaned up. I'll probably paint the block black. Honestly, I probably won't do much with this stuff until I get it in the truck, because then I can power wash it with everything plugged off. And if he wants to paint the valve covers later on, he can do that. If not, I'm just going to go get a $20 bottle of aluminum brightener, spray the aluminum brightener on everything, power wash it off, and brake clean it before I put it in there. I probably won't power wash it off before I put it in there. Brake clean it before I put it in there. Once it's in there, I'll aluminum brighten, power wash it off, and go from there. But we don't even really have to pull the intake off of this thing. So we got to get that set in there. We got to figure out a fuel situation. Not a big deal. I'll take you guys through that step. But first, let's get this scary looking thing cleaned up and get it not so scary and put in this thing. Well, the LS motor has made its way to the engine bay. We have got the trans bolted up, torque converter bolted up, heater lines bolted up or tightened up. Power steering is hooked up over there. It's kind of hard to see. I have the hole drilled for the wiring harness right there. And the wiring harness is here. I'm gonna get that put in probably tomorrow. It's currently midnight. I'm only 11 hours into this, and this is how it sits. So we got a fuel system to run, which isn't gonna be bad because it's got a metal line front to back. I think I'm gonna put just the inline pump right up here, up front, with a regulator on this inner fender right here, and then I'm just gonna run a freaking hose right to that, because this is going to be, we do need to run a return line still, which that's going to be kind of tricky, which I thought that's why we were going to use this Fitek thing. Long story, we won't get into that. This truck had a Fitek on it with a pump, whole works. We were going to use that. I don't think we're going to be able to use that, so we are going to have to run a return line somehow, which we might have to drop the fuel tank, we might have to put a bung in it. We'll figure it out, but basically run a return line and we're done with the fuel system. Wiring harness, simple stuff. It's coming together. Next step, wiring harness, and see if this thing will crank over and possibly start. So next time you see it, hopefully we're cranking this thing over. Well, YouTube, it's been a hot minute since we've took a video on this truck. Probably going on about 2 weeks or more. I've had another truck in here in the meantime. We were waiting on some parts for this. I had another truck in here, was working on that. We got the parts for this. I jumped back on it, and I jumped back on it with some motivation, I guess you can call it, or vengeance, whatever you want to call it. But this thing is ready to start up. We got coolant hoses plumbed. We got, lower radiator hose on. The only thing left, and because I forgot to run to the parts store, I need an 1/8 inch barb to I want to say that's a 1/4 inch thread. That's actually threaded there. It's a kind of a universal radiator. It's made for a hose to go over it or a barb to go in it. I pulled a plug out of it, like a Allen head plug out of it, but I need to get that for the steam port, because I was originally going to run one of these guys, because a lot of the radiators don't have it, but I need an 1/8 inch NPT. Well, that's 1/8 inch NPT to 1/8 inch barb. I need 1/4 inch NPT to 1/8 inch barb. And other than that, I can put coolant in it. But I even got the exhaust. So it already had exhaust on it. I already talked it off the lift before I even took a video. See, it's lacking. But I had to V-bands on it, put the exhaust on it, and I basically just connected it to where the mufflers were. The headers came up about 1 inch or 2 taller and about 1 inch or 2 narrower, closer inside the frame than the old small block did, which actually helped out make the exhaust. This whole pipe on this side is literally straight. So, but yeah, we're gonna have to come up with something for this. I tried to mount it over there. I didn't really like it. It kind of laid over on the radiator hose a little too much. I like it over here. We just might have to make some sort of bracket to hold it up. I still got to put an air filter on it, but if I get a filter, it might hold itself up, or I can make a bracket off here, clamp it around there to hold it up. I don't know, but that's just kind of sitting there for now. But other than that, I got the harness ran, the fuel pumps on, the fuel lines are ran. I don't even think I had that the last time I videotaped. So we got the ECU put in here. I'm waiting on some brackets for this. I'm gonna mount it up in there. Fuse block will get mounted up in there. After that, I do have to run 1 wire for the fans, the green wire for fan number 1. He told me, he's like, don't get offense to my wiring, but this is what he had to control the fans, which by no means is anything wrong here. It was one of them, you put the sensor probe thing in the radiator and it controls it that way. But we got new technology in here now where the computer control it by temperatures. So I have to hook this ground wire up right here to the ECU. I don't know if you can see that, but I put 1 relay in here. I zip tied the wires up. We lost probably 10 foot of wire just in that area. But basically the ECU sends this to ground and we have fans. So other than that, we got a couple minor things. He took the hood off before we came here. I got some cleaning up to do with some wire loom basically and a power washer, and check some fluids. I do need to change the oil, so it's got oil in it from when he bought it. I'm gonna start it up on that. I got a brand new filter and a brand new couple gallons of oil I'm gonna put in it, or 7 quarts, 6, 7 quarts, whatever. Put in here, change the oil. But we got the fuel pressure regulator is on and mounted. We got 60 PSI fuel pressure. I mounted the fuel pump down there. Now, some people might not like that, but it has a factory brand new stainless line from front to rear because he had a carbureted engine in it, and that's what he put back in it. Like, it's super nice, so there's no reason to pull it out really. And but I put the fuel pump right in there. It's an inline pump, not a big deal. It's kind of hard to see. It is a Walbro 255 inline pump. I grounded it to the frame right there, and I ran my fuel pump wire from the relay inside right here. This is the wire looming stuff I need to take care of. And I put a regulator in here, tuned it up. We got the return line. I need to put a zip tie on that. We got the return line ran all the way down this side of the frame rail, and it goes into this aftermarket fuel tank he put back here. Pretty simple, straightforward. This is definitely a lot of talking for 5 minutes. If you're still listening, cool. But this is going to be the first time I start it up now that the exhaust is on it. And yeah, let's see how it sounds. It's got no cam in it besides the stock cam, and it's got Flowmasters. I think they're Super 44s on it. Should sound all right. It's full 3-inch exhaust, just Flowmasters. Probably going to be pretty loud, but way better than open headers. So yeah, set you up and we'll take a listen for ourselves. I haven't deleted the VATs yet, so it's just going to start and die, but I'll go in and get my computer and do that. I probably won't show that on film. Delete the VAT so we can run it a little longer, but we don't have coolant, so I'll have to run to the parts store real quick. Looks like I need some more juice. While she's running, and I wish you guys could smell this because it smells quite bad. I bet you those rails had some bad gas in it for a long time, and I never took it apart. And I would be surprised if the truck's got bad fuel in it too. So it's probably gonna run a little poopy for a little while. I'm gonna get some new gas put in it. I got some race gas too, but it doesn't have a cam in it besides the stock one, and it definitely sounds like it's got a miss. So we'll have to do some fine tuning, but she finally started. Wish I would have videotaped it, but it was a little bit of a challenge, so I didn't really videotape it. Just had to crank it and get it going, but it's running. So we got to get some coolant in it and then go from there, but it's only been running for a couple minutes now. So the engine's actually really quiet, and I just added some airflow and added some RPM, but you can tell it's idling a little shaky and rough, but it's probably got bad fuel in it and it probably needs some injector cleaner ran through it. Probably just do a Vice Grip Garage special and put some Berryman's B12 in it, but it runs. Well, that's basically the finished product. I got to do a lot of cleaning still yet. I got to get some degreaser and whatnot to clean this engine bay up. I got to put the cover on it. But other than that, it's got coolant in it finally. I got the steam vent tube hooked up. I got about 2 gallons of coolant in it, a little more. And we're gonna start this thing up. We're gonna let it run. We're probably gonna pull it outside. We're gonna make sure the fans work. I did hook the sensor wire up to the ECU. Got to make sure that works. And then I put these wires in some loom. I might tape them up a little bit out of the way, but I don't have a hood, so it's gonna get rolled around like this for a little while. Like I said, the last video, it's got some bad fuel in it, whether it's in the tank or what was stuck in the rails, and it's idling a little rough. So it also has the original spark plugs in it from when this engine got pulled. He said 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. So it's probably, by the smell of it, it's old, old. So we gotta top some fluids off, make sure there's no leak. We had a little power steering leak, but I think it's because I overfilled it because it was full to the brim. And or we got a pinhole somewhere, but I started up again last night and cleaned that area and it didn't leak anymore, and it's right at the full mark, so I'm assuming it just pushed out what it didn't need. I also haven't turned the wheel much, but yeah, we're gonna get this thing started up. Got to do a little bit more tuning on it. It is just a stock 6-liter, but we got a different air intake system on it. I'm gonna add some timing to it because the stock timing is kind of a little on the low side, and he's probably gonna run 93 in it anyways. But we need to get up to the gas station. We probably need to at least put as much 93 good gas as we can get in it to dilute the old, and we need to put some miles on it. So I'm gonna basically do that. We're gonna get the tune-in issue kind of figured out. We're gonna make sure we have no leaks, and yeah, it's basically ready to go back to the customer. So I'm gonna get this engine bay cleaned up so I'm satisfied with it, and that's about it. So stay tuned. This thing sounds pretty good for what it is. It's just 3-inch Flowmasters, but yeah, we'll see what we can do. Well, I forgot my GoPro like a freaking goober, so we're gonna do this on my phone. But we made it to the gas station. Oh, shit! The bald eagle up there. But we made it to the gas station, put fuel in it. I got some injector cleaner in it. It's missing on the passenger side bank. I think it's either cylinder 5 or cylinder 3, but you can't really tell at idle. You can only tell a little bit under a load, but once you get past a certain point, it cleans right back up, and it's gotten a lot better since we first started this thing. So we're gonna let the injector cleaner do its work. I got it cleaned up from all the handprints, dust, and dirt. And we've got We had a couple minor little leaks, but they're fixed now. So yeah, we basically have made this about 5 miles. So far so good. Tune seems pretty spot on. It does want to go directly to like 650 RPM at idle as soon as you let off the gas, which is kind of a little funny because it makes the brakes feel weird. So we might try to bump that up, but it's hard because this ECU has no way of telling wheel speed because it's got a turbo 350 in it. So we might just have to bump the standard idle up a little bit and go from there. But yeah, we're getting there.